Hello, thank you for watching my channel today. My name's Sarah and my channel is called Your True Self. And today I wanted to talk about my reading goals going into 2023. This year just seems to have gone so fast. It's the 1st of December today and I was just watching an update on Katie from Books and Things, who has just done the update video for her reading goals, and it's actually quite different to how I'd done my reading goals because hers are very specific, whereas mine were pretty non-specific. And I think actually it's much easier to fulfill your goals if they're more specific, and that's in general in life. If you do any kind of goal setting, they're supposed to be, they're SMART goals, whatever acronym that stands for again, like small, measured, achievable, realistic, and time specific or something like that. So I thought that I'd do more specific goals along the lines of what Katie's done. And over the last couple of years, so I really loved doing the Reading Women's Challenge every year. And that's stopped now, so it wasn't done. It wasn't organised this year, and I think it's sort of permanently finished, I think. But I really liked having specific questions like that for the Reading Women's Challenge, and I tried doing two others. So I tried doing Pop Sugar, but I did that at the same time as Reading Women. I think it was just too many things. And then this year I tried doing the Read Harder Challenge, and there were prompts on there that I just wasn't really very interested in. And because of that, I didn't complete it. And so I thought what I'd do is I'd make myself a challenge. I'll just show you my bullet journal. So this is my Reading Women Challenge spread for 2021, I'm guessing it was, where I'd sort of done, this side was all of the prompts, and then this side was when I'd done the prompts. So I thought if I do something like this for my own prompts, then it will keep me on track and not let me forget all about it as I go. So I'm going to do something like that. I might actually refer back to my bullet journal for a couple of other bits. So I'll just tell you, I've just sat down and had to think about what I'd like to do for prompts. So this is what I want to do. So I'd like to do 3 books by Japanese authors, because I have been reading more authors from Japan over the last couple of years, and I'm really enjoying the works that I've read so far. I've definitely got some on my TBR already, and so I would like to read 3 books by Japanese authors. Now, I have devised with my friend Jo, we have between us come up with a massive classics project, which is probably going to take us many years. We've got spreadsheets and colour coding and everything, and we're both really excited, but unless we want to take a break at any point, our plan is to read together a classic every month, and we've got big lists of classics, and we're kind of, we've got it all sorted anyway, and we're both really excited to start. We're starting that in January, and the first book on our list is The Rainbow by D.H. Lawrence. And so I want to read one classic every month. But alongside that, I'm also doing the Dickens Readalong, which is hosted by Katie from Books and Things, where over the course of 2 years, we're reading all the Dickens books in publication order. I'll link Katie's video to that down below. So December is month 2, it was book 2. So if it's a longer book, you get 2 months to read it, and if it's a shorter book, you get a month. And Katie set up a Discord channel to discuss the books, and she makes videos introducing and wrapping them up each month as well. So I finished the first one, and I'm now starting Oliver Twist, which is the second one. So I want to keep up with the Dickens read-along as well. So I don't know how many books that will be, because it will be somewhere between 6 and 12 books, but I haven't actually counted how many it is. The next thing I'd like to do is to get up to date with 3 series. So I have a ton of series on the go. I'm really bad at either starting series and leaving it too long before I read the next book, or just buying the first one in series and it's on my TBR for too long. Especially when you like fantasy, there tends to be so many fantasy books a part of series. And so I'd like to make progress with up to point of whether it's finishing the series or we're waiting for the next book in the series. I'd like to get up to that place with 3 series. I would only like to have one book out of the library at a time. So I got into a real mess with my library books as per a video a few videos ago. And I actually managed to solve that problem because Jo, who I just mentioned for the Classics Challenge, she said to me, go upstairs to your library book TBR, pick 5 and take all the rest back to the library. And I was like, okay, because then I think she said you're just going to feel so much freer. And it was true. And I literally did it there and then. And since then I've had two books or 3 books which came in, which I kind of already ordered. But now my library TBR is on 6. And I want to, yes, just have one book out of the library at a time. That is my goal, because otherwise it just gets completely overwhelming. I want to read one of my Kindle books every month. So it doesn't have to be one a month. It could be the 1 month I read 3 and then 3 months I read none. But I want to read 12 Kindle books because I've got not too many books on my Kindle. I reckon about somewhere between 30 and 40. So, well, probably about 30, I would say. So I'd like to read one of those on average a month. I would like to read all the books from my 2013 TBR. So if I order them on Goodreads of what year I added them, there's 3 books left from that I added in 2013 that I haven't read yet. And so I'd like to read those. I'd like to read 3 of my memoirs on my shelf. I like to read 5 YA and 3 middle grade books, 2 rereads. Now I've also got in my bullet journal, so this here is another challenge that I'm already doing. So NPR, I found out about this from Heather from Soggy Expat Book Nerd. NPR do like this thing called their Reading Concierge each year, where they release a big list of their best books of all genres over the year. And I have done, so these are, I went right back to the first ever year they did it, and I looked at every single year, which took quite a long time, and then I made it into a spread of all the books that I have on my TBR. So I'll just move it a bit closer. They're kind of like post-its, that's how I've done them. So these are all books I have on my TBR that were on that list, and I colour them in as I've read them. So there's quite a lot there, and I would like to read another 4 of those. And the other thing I do every year is I make a spread of my favourite booktubers' favourite books that I already have on my TBR. So if you're not on the list, it's not because you're not one of my favourite booktubers, it's because we didn't have any that were on your list that I already owned. So I've done that for 2 years now, so let me just find those. So this was the first year I did it, and I kind of put a little blue dot by the ones I'd read. So for instance, I've still got left The Vanishing Half by Britt Bennett and Hamnet by Maggie O'Farrell, The Mercies by Kieran Millward Hargrave, Don't Touch My Hair by Emma Dabbery, and The Parker Inheritance and Our Symphony with Animals. I've still got those ones left from there. And then last year's was this one here. And so this one I made it a little bit more obvious to see what I'd read. So I've just got squares by all of them, and when I've read them I've coloured in the squares. So I've read most of Jen's. But yeah, so I've got some books that were even on the year before's. But yeah, these aren't sort of done on any sort of time pressure, but I just like doing this to refer back to books that my favourite booktubers have loved. And I'll make one of those lists this year, and I'd like to read 3 of my favourites, so from any year. It may well be that I read more than that, but that's my sort of aim. So I've been much more specific with my goals this year. So my goals before were things like doing more cozy reading nights by Lauren from Lauren and the Books, who runs those, which I have done. Not having my phone with me when I read. That one is really hard because I'm rubbish at it. I am so easily distracted. It's really annoying. I'll be quite happily reading, and then I'll think, oh, let me just look up something about what I'm just reading, and then I realise like 20 minutes have gone past and I haven't gone back to my book, and or someone will like WhatsApp me, and then all of a sudden I'll have gone down a WhatsApp rabbit hole, or like, I don't know, like one of my kids will wander in and then they'll say, Mum, can you unlock my iPad or something, and then and then I'm open my phone and then I go, oh, I've got a notification for this, and then I read it, and then I'm just like, oh, I've got distracted again. That one I'm definitely failing at. And finishing my library books, well, I guess I've definitely made progress on that one, because I've got the list right down. One book on Kindle per month, I didn't do that, annoyingly. And finish outstanding books, what does that mean? I don't even know what I meant by that. It didn't mean finish my TBR off. Oh, actually, that is one thing I would like to do. So my TBR, let me get you the current number, because I keep a record of that as well. This is how I do my TBR numbers here. So I start with how many I've got, how many I've read and unread, and how many I've acquired. So my TBR started off with 280 at the beginning of the year, and it's now 268. So it's gone down, but by like a ridiculously small, by 12. That is really pathetic. It's gone, and I think mostly that's because I've had some months where I've read loads and none of it's been off my TBR, because it's been like library books and stuff. I've had months where I haven't been too bad on book buying at all this year, but I've had some books which are given to me, which then go on my TBR, and I really obviously need to do another unhaul. And if you look here, so this is about my book buying. So in 2021 I bought these books, right? So these ones, and these ones. This is all the books I bought in 2021, which was 108 books, and the ones that are highlighted in yellow are the ones that I've actually read. And then this year, much shorter list, I bought 48 books, and I've already read nearly half of them. So actually I've done loads better, and that feels really nice, actually, that I've been really good at just buying things that I really, really want to read. And before, I would definitely think, oh, that's a book that I think is probably quite good and it's only £1 in a charity shop, so let's just get that and I'll buy 5 more. And then your TBR just quickly spirals with books that maybe you're not actually that bothered about. So, so I'm quite pleased with 48, and it may well go up, a couple more books or so by the end of the year, but that's definitely another thing that I'd like to carry on with, just like being more sensible about my book buying. And I would love to get my TBR down. I don't really want to put a number on it, because then it just puts pressure on, but getting it down, if I could get it down to like 200, that would be amazing. That's probably realistic. In terms of total numbers of books, so I aimed to read 100 books this year, which is the most I've ever read. And so far I'm on 102, so I've already beat my target with a month to go, which is really, really nice. Before I started BookTube, I only read about 25 books a year, so the fact that I've kind of quadrupled the amount of books I read is really cool. And I don't count any books that I read with my kids, because we read like loads, but they're mainly like picture books or really simple chapter books and stuff. I don't count those ones, because then I'd have read like about 300 books this year, so I don't count them. So that's kind of my goals, and so I'm going to make it into a bullet journal spread. I might even do that now, actually, because I am very luckily off work this week. I am on day 3 of annual leave this week. So far today we had some plums which were like really getting really squishy, so I've made them into a plum crumble. I did that just now. I've done some more of my watercolour painting, which I'm working on. And what else have I done? I've done a little bit of reading, and I went for a run. So 3 weeks ago I broke my little toe. So I was walking fairly quickly through from my daughter's bedroom onto the landing, and this part of my foot went through the doorway, and this went on the door frame, and oh my gosh, it was so painful, and my whole toe swelled up and went black, and I've had to keep it strapped. It's the 3 weeks, but I'm still having to neighbour strap my toe to the adjacent toe, and I was really annoyed that I had to have 3 weeks off running, and today I thought I would go for just a 15-minute run just to see how it felt, and it felt fine. So if I press on my toe, it still really hurts, but actually walking hasn't. So hopefully there won't be any downside of having gone for a run, but it was so nice to get outside and run again. So I might actually, if I make a bullet journal spread now, then I can nip back and show you what it looks like. I'm back. It's about, I don't know, 40 minutes or so later, and I've made my spread. This is my very pretty spread of my book goals for 2023. So all I've done is each colour represents one of the goals. So for instance, this is 12 squares for my Kindle books each month. This is 7 squares for my Dickens books. And this is like 5 YA. So for instance, all the goals that I said before are basically here. And then when I've read one, say for instance, if I read the next book in the Bloodsworn trilogy, I would write the book name and author in here. So this should all be full by the end of next year. So we shall see. So that is all for today. Please do let me know how you've got on with your reading goals for this year, and also if you started thinking about your reading goals for next year, and if you'd like to share any of them or you've made a similar video, then please do tell me so I can go and watch and chat to you in the comments. And I hope you have a lovely week, and I'll speak to you all soon. Bye.